y'all, it's Dawn's Press-Ons, and today we're going to work with some watercolor. So I'm going to talk to you a few minutes about some stamping plates that are good for watercolor. So the stamping images like these with the big thick lines, those are going to end up being colored with very little negative space. We need a lot of the images that don't have the silver on them. So more like this would be appropriate, okay? So not a great plate, great one. Down here, these flowers, these are perfect. Almost any one of these would be great for doing watercolor with after we stamp the image. All right. So I really wanted to do butterflies today for you. And it looks like this is the only kind of butterfly that we've got that's big enough and beautiful enough. I could do this one too. That one or that one, or maybe we'll do both. And I'm going to stamp this one and show you why that one's not a good choice. So stick with me. Let's see if we can stamp and use watercolor paints. So I've got my Maniology straight up black polish and my scraper card from Clear Jelly Stamper and my Clear Jelly Stamper stamp. So this stamper is a two-piece stamper. So you take the top off and there's your stamper, but you can't see through it because it's got all these crystals in the bottom. So you take the bottom off and there's your second stamper. If you needed to stamp and you don't care to see through it, you could use that one. But then this one becomes completely clear and you can see exactly what you need to stamp. Okay, so this is the one I use right here, the one that you can see through. And then I take the cap and I just set it on this to make sure I protect that head from getting injured. A lot of times I just end up using that as like a backup head when this one goes bad. Okay, here we go. I have a bottle of pure acetone for cleaning my plates. It's just, I put it in this spray bottle for ease. And I use these makeup cotton rounds to scrub my plates with. They don't leave a lot of lint behind. They will leave streaks with the acetone, but you could always, once it dries, take alcohol and put alcohol on your plates, and that'll take away the streakiness from the acetone. All right, so I've got to get my nails set up. So I've got 3 nails here. We need to get some base coat down on them and then a background color. So let me get that going and I'll be right back. For watercolor, you want to make sure that you have a light background. This color is really great for it. It's like a creamy, light yellow, gray. It's just super creamy and not white, which is a nice difference. Or you could use white. I got a light pink out here, but I think this is going to be too much. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, I think that's going to be too much for watercolor. I don't think the colors I'm going to want to put down are going to stand up to that. So not going to use the pink. Let's look at the white and the cream. Okay, so we've got our nails out of the lamp. Let's stamp our image and then we'll matte top coat. So let's get these out. All right, so let's start with the one that I don't think is going to work very well. And that's going to be either this one or this one. One of these two is not going to be very good. When you're stamping these outlines for these images, using a color other than black, a lot of people reach for their black, and that's fine. But going with like a dark green or a dark brown really changes the image and makes it so much more sophisticated, depending on what it is. You can really level up your image. I'm going to try black. No, I think I'm going to go with, yeah, we'll just do black. So I've got my image, my stamper, my scraper. Let's go. There we go. Perfect. Great image. Clear off the excess. All right. There we go. But you see how we just don't have any space to really color. There's just not much we can add to this nail. It's really pretty dead. So now let's do this middle one that I think is going to be good. And we'll keep doing it in black just so we have some continuity here. Missing a few of the wings. I think we're going to be okay though. How pretty. I think we got a good pick up there. Okay, let's put that down on this white nail. Okay, I'm happy with that. We've got a lot of area there that we can add color to. Okay, now let's do this next one. I think that's going to be so pretty. And we're going to do it in black also. Perfect. Good image. All right. Come here. Good. I like it. So now with this little line here, I'll clean that up. All right, let me clean all this up and we'll be right back. Okay, next step to get these guys ready, matte top coat and then in the lamp. Oh, I need to clean that up. Okay, let's matte top coat these. All right, so I've got the top coat applied, and just like when you were applying your normal top coat, even though this is matte, you want to make sure that there's no ripples or lumps or bumps, that you have it all the way from one side to the other side, free edge to the cuticle. And we want to make sure that it's all pretty, that the light line is straight, because once we matte top coat these, we need a nice smooth surface for adding our watercolor paints. So now let's put these in the oven for a full cure. All right, so they're out of the lamp and we're ready to add our watercolors. Okay, so there's a couple of rules to deal with watercolor. The first is, gotta be a matte surface. It doesn't really stick to shiny, so we need to make the nails matte, which we have done. Second one is you need to get your watercolors wet. So let's take a look at these watercolors. So this is my watercolor palette. I got it off of Amazon. It was not very expensive. Russian watercolors are the best. Oh my goodness. The colors are so pigmented. It's like they literally take the pigment and they evaporate it down and make it into solid little blocks. It's a very expensive process, but so on this palette, you basically have like all your colors over here. And then on this side, you've got your shimmers and your neons and stuff like that. So your metallics. So it's kind of, you know, for what it was priced at, it is wonderful. It's super pigmented and it works for me. So you just have to find the one that works for you. Second thing is, any brush that you have used on gel, I repeat, any brush that you have used on gel, you cannot use it on watercolor. So I have a couple of brushes here that I use for my watercolors, and I'll show you the difference in between them in a minute. But I marked them by putting a couple of cheapy little rhinestones on here and cured it. So I know these two are my watercolor brushes. They're only ever used for watercolor, and I know that. So the difference between these two is, let's see, what size is this one? It doesn't say. Awesome. And this one says acrylic size 4. That's my cleanup brush. I think this is a zero or, oh yeah, it's a 00. There it is. So this is my 00 brush. This is the one where I actually deposit color and paint with. And this is for water, absorbing water. Look at those bristles. They'll get fixed in a minute, but this is for absorbing water, moving water, that sort of thing. So that's the difference between our two brushes. I've got a little brush stand here that I just set over off to the side so that my brushes are over there kind of out of the way. And then I've got water. I've got two things of water. One is clean water for my clean brush, and the other one will be washing out my dirty brushes. And then I have some napkins. Okay, so you've got your list of supplies that you need when working with watercolor, a napkin or some place to kind of wipe your brush. Okay, so here's, I guess you can't see it, can you? Let me just tip the camera a little bit. So here's my napkin. And let's gently sway back. All right, so looking at my butterfly here, so, you know, what colors do we want our butterfly wings to be? So this one, again, kind of a lost cause, really can't do much with it, but we'll give it a go. And then these two guys, I'm just gonna get some water in my paints that I think I might use. Whether I use them or not, it doesn't really matter. I'm just depositing a little bit of water. Now at home, again, I'm not at home, but if I were at home, I would have used my spritzer bottle or my eyedropper and got just a little bit, got these all wet by spritzing them with my spritzer or giving them a little drop from my eyedropper. So now I'm just going to get my brush wet. And I actually have a little palette here. So the idea is that you don't work with your paint straight from your palette. You transfer your drop of polish that you want or your paint that you want onto your palette. So let's just say that I want to use this purpley color right here. Just kind of mixing a little bit of that in, and then I'm just going to put a splotch of it right there. That's probably more purple than I would need if I did all three of the nails. That little tiny dot of purple. That is, I mean, you can see it compared to the brush. It is not very much, and that's more than I would need of just that purple. So I'm kind of wiping my brush over here on my napkin, and then cleaning it out so that I can get my next color that I think I want. This looks like okay, now let's lighten it up. Might have got that too light. Pretty. So then for this one, I'm just going to try to be a little bit careful and see if I can paint in the lines. So we're ending up with a really pretty butterfly here. So I just need to keep on working on him, okay? Too much water. Let's just see if I can tap up some of the water here. Good. I also removed a lot of color, trying to get rid of some of that water. But that's the way it kind of goes. So doing some construction here. I'm at my parents' house and my brother is here installing a rail in the bathroom, so I'll try to mute out as much of that as I can. Okay, so you see I put on color and then I'm going to take out water. And you remove color too, so maybe I'll just let that dry for a few minutes. Okay, let's work on this side. I'm going to go into some purples now. There we go. Good. And nice. Uh-oh. See what happened here? If I don't get that off right now, it's on there for good. Let me clean my brush. Get that off of there. Oh. Got it. For the most part, it'll be a slight shadow down there, but I got most of that off. Woo! All right, let's go in with another shade of purple. My hands shake so bad. And then I think I'm going to go in with this red right here, this red pink. Oh, what a pretty shade. And then last I want to use is this pink shimmer right here. Let's see if it's going to show up. Oh, yeah. Perfect. All right. So we're going to let that dry and then see what we need to do to it. Okay, so I finished painting everything. We had a power outage, and I don't need electricity to paint these as long as it's daylight. So I just finished painting these up. And you can see now what I meant by this one's kind of a disaster. There's just not a whole lot I can do with it. So what I meant, you can see here by this, what I meant was when I said this, that stamp didn't make a good image for watercolor. I watercolored every bit that I could, and you see it's just not enough to even really look like a butterfly. And then this was the other wing. I thought this was going to look better than it did. Not really, but I'm loving the way this one turned out. Isn't that pretty? So let me get some top coat on these. They've had time to dry. That's the other thing, is your watercolor needs to completely dry. So these have had time to dry, and now I can top coat them. I'm going to put shiny top coat on because I really want that sparkle to come out. All right, and here's what they look like. Look at that beautiful watercolor. I mean, okay, so I made a mistake right there, but if it were for like a client, I would probably go back and touch it up with white paint or add a like a watered out blue background. But look at how beautiful. All right, y'all. Grab those watercolor paints and show me what you can make. Thank y'all for joining us today. Please, as a brand new press-on business, don't forget we need your likes, shares, and subscribes. Thank you. Have a great day.